What up, what up? This is Trung, and here is my podcast for my presentation. I'm going to be analyzing the journalistic piece from the Huffington Post about how liberals and why violent protest is the correct answer. So my guest here today is I don't want to use your real name because I don't want people to be pissed off at everyone that has the same name as you, bro. So I don't know. You come up with your own name.
George Pacheco.
George Pacheco. All right. So, anyways, about the post. What's your initial reaction to it? Anyways,
Fucking stupid.
fucking stupid. Why you say that, bro?
Because in our time, in our people, in our generation, how about that in general? We look at things on a bad note, but imagine if it was something that you cared about, you would look at it as like a right note. You know, just because people don't feel the way you feel about the post, about it in general, it really comes down to basically if it was something that you actually cared about, then you would be reacting the same way and you would be approving the same way that I am. You know, imagine if it was one of your favorite movie stars, your favorite actor, your favorite rapper, anything did something bad. Is that off subject?
No.
Imagine if somebody you liked did something bad. What's gonna happen? You know, you see multiple people with this saying, oh, this, that, negative things about that person, but you really like this person, and obviously you're gonna stick up for him. You're gonna say, oh, well, that's stupid because of this, that's stupid because of that.
Right.
You know, and the point I'm trying to get at is the way I feel is just the way I feel. Yeah. Obviously, people have their own opinions, people have their own views on this.
Yeah, definitely.
But in my opinion, this is how I feel about this, coming from, I guess, a Mexican American perspective.
Yeah.
A person was born in Mexico, but came here and did the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Came here to, quote unquote, live the American dream. And that gets thrown around a lot just because, you know, everyone wants to say, oh, I'm living the American dream.
Yeah, gotcha. So you're a big anti-Trump person, right?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Was that even before his initial nomination as a Republican, or it was throughout the whole thing?
Initially, I knew his political views, and I knew who he was as a person. And just when he would speak and the things he would say, even not going to be a president, not being the Republican, not being anything, just Donald Trump, what is it? I guess you can say businessman. You can say a guy who makes money, and everybody likes making money. But the things he said about immigrants in general, and I'm not just talking about the Mexican people, Hispanic, Latino, I'm not talking about those people.
Yeah.
I'm talking about everyone in general. The things he say is wrong. The things he believes in is wrong. And yes, most people would say it's right. He's doing the right thing. But like I said, not all of us are who he says we are. And the reason why I say we and not me is because I know there's other people like me, as far as I'm not a rapist. I don't sell drugs. I don't do whatever he says about the Mexican, Latino people, mm-hmm. Hispanic, whatever you want to call it, people. Not everyone's like that. Yes, we had bad times. Yes, there's always this, there's always that. But if you look at the majority, big things, yes, drugs are majority of the world. Drugs always come in and out. But if you look at it, really, the major supply for cocaine, heroin, let's say, I wouldn't even say marijuana because marijuana can be grown. But anything in general is always coming from somewhere else.
Yeah. So,
And
yeah, I'm sorry.
And I'm not saying that it doesn't come from the border over. I'm not saying that at all, because I know it does. But not all of us are like that. Not all of us are doing the bad thing. Some of us are working hard, have a 9-to-5 job, if that, because minimum wage is bullshit. Working hard, paying taxes, and that's usually the most important thing for most people. Most people say, oh, immigrants are taking taxes. Immigrants are doing this, doing that. Okay? Me, personally, I've been in this country I'm 21. Been in this country for 20 years. And you say I'm an immigrant. Okay, so I've been having a full-time job since I was 18 years old. 21, that's 18, 19, 20, 21. That's 3 years of taxes. Taxes, if you come down to it, it is a lot. And I do pay my taxes. I can tell you every little thing, all the taxes I do. But the main point of that is saying we don't do what he says we do, you know?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not saying that there's are people like that. Yes. And I'm going to say people, not just Mexicans.
Yeah.
I'm going to say people in general, because if you look at the shooting massacre in, what was it at?
Which one?
The one in Baltimore, the one in the movie theater.
That was Aurora, Colorado.
Aurora.
Yeah.
Who did that?
It was a white guy.
Exactly. And I guess we can't really say white guy. We have to say really Caucasian.
Oh.
Because the only reason why I say Caucasian...
Anyways, you can keep going.
But, you know what I mean? Like, when it comes down to it, we're always classified as one thing. Mexican, immigrant, whatever. But, and here's another part of it, and obviously it goes past the political view, what Donald Trump believes in, what he says. It goes past to what happened in real life. I mean, these are facts. You can look them up. You can Google it. You can pick up a book, whatever. And you will see that guy that happened in Colorado, white. But what was he labeled as? A psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
He got into a mental institution. But if you look at a person like, you know, let's just give up a random person who's running away from the law.
What about someone like Aaron Hernandez?
Hernandez, let's say that one. Aaron Hernandez, all the media that he got, well, once of all, he is a NFL star. A lot of people liked him. A lot of people bought his jerseys. He was a really good tight end for the New England Patriots. Really good. When that happened, obviously he's going to get a lot of media. The ESPN's going to talk about him. The whole world's going to talk about him because, well, he's a political figure. Quote unquote. I wouldn't say political figure because he's really... The only contribute that he has towards society is playing football. It's not really something major. I mean, obviously, we
know
care
who
about,
he is. Yeah.
We know who he is, but I wouldn't say political figure because he really doesn't do anything into the political world as far as what goes into it, and as far as running a government or anything in general.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's going off subject, but it all ties in together to where Aaron Hernandez, I'm not saying what he did was wrong. I'm not saying what he did was right or anything. I'm basically saying, look at that situation.
If he was of a different race, they might have handled it differently.
Yes, I believe so. And, you know, this goes past Donald Trump. I mean, we've never talked about Donald Trump when it comes to Aaron Hernandez. This is way past it within years. When, I mean, Aaron Hernandez went to jail 4 years ago. Donald Trump barely started going to office this year. So, obviously, it's backtracking it. But if you look at it, look at that situation and look at the situation beforehand. Okay, let's say what happened, in the article, in the post, the Huffington Post, it said a man struck a pedestrian, or not pedestrian, I would say a riot, in the face, struck her in the face. It was a girl.
Yeah.
In that situation, okay, just imagine back then when Donald Trump wasn't, and I'm not saying that he's making the people do what they do. He's not making anybody do anything. He has his views and people like him, and he has the way of thinking, the way people want to think and the way people feel.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you can call it like that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, why has things escalated even more? Because he's been in office. Why is it that the things that happened here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, when he came down here and said who we were as a people?
Yeah, and you were actually a part of the riot, weren't you?
I was. And the reason for that, because I wasn't gonna shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Second, I want my point across.
Yeah.
Saying, and obviously other people joined me. People believed what I believed in.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
like the people in the article where they're saying something like violent protest is needed in this situation.
Oh yes, definitely. That's why I came to the situation in the beginning when I was talking about. Okay, so a lot of people disagreed. A lot of people said, "Oh, they shouldn't have done that. People here in Albuquerque are unclassy.
Yeah.
People here in Albuquerque are this, are that. Why would you do that? You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be damaging property. You shouldn't be doing this." Great. I understand that. I understand everything as far as who's going to pay for the property damage. Obviously, taxpayers.
Yeah.
Once again, I do pay taxes, and I am a Mexican American. I was born in Mexico. Over here in the United States, I do have my card, and obviously I pay taxes. We're going to pay for that. Cool. I disagree with that because, well, obviously we pay more taxes, get more money out, less money for you, blah, blah, blah. But that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. No,
but just imagine, like I said in the beginning, just imagine if it's something in another situation. Me, I believe in this. I am this. I'm 100% in this because this is, and I'm going to say my people. The reason why I'm going to say my people instead of these people or those people or anything in general, if I want to be politically correct.
Yeah.
The way I say my people is because my family is Mexican. My family does come from Mexico, came here, pay taxes, work hard, do their thing, don't get in trouble, don't sell drugs, doesn't do anything in general to get them deported, I guess you can call it.
And I personally know your family in a way, and the way like the Huffington Post was describing those Trump supporters when they were saying that they support him because of what he said and agree on what he thinks about Mexican Americans. That's what really getting to you.
Yeah, it does get to me because obviously this is my people. This is what I feel is wrong when he says rapist. Even not even that, what he says, what the general population says about us as people who take advantage of the government, who does child support, or whatever in general. And it's not just us. Yeah, obviously this is a whole broad spectrum. When you say immigrant, yes, that's a spectrum. But when you say Mexican immigrant, that's one single group.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not just one single group. Obviously, there's tons of people who've come here seeking good things. And obviously, you can tell good things have happened from people who work hard and people who were quote-unquote immigrants. If you look at, and I wouldn't say a major company, I wouldn't say, obviously Apple, Bill Gates, if I'm correct. Bill Gates?
Yeah.
Bill Gates, white. Okay, cool. But I was going to say more on, okay, so as far as land development, obviously, there's people out there that say we take people's jobs. We don't take anybody's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We do jobs that are there for us. Because why? Because we want to provide for our family. Just like how many billion people here in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Or in the United States, I'm just going to say the United States. 4 billion, 4.5 billion, 5.5. Whatever the number is, everyone does that to help their family. Yeah, you might be single, you might be this, whatever, but majority of the people are supporting their family. They work hard, and
Yeah, and to add to that, let me just quote you on the quote that is said in the article. One of the quotes is that Trump doesn't exist in a vacuum. He's the natural consequence of, amongst other things, Republicans' long-standing embrace of racism, perpetual attacks on the credibility of media, scientists, and the federal government, defunding public education, rallying against the so-called PC culture, and using immigrants as a scapegoat. Do you think immigrants are being used as a scapegoat to a lot of the problems that they're having?
in a point, yes. In a point, no. I mean, obviously it is a broad spectrum. I mean, you can kind of go both ways on this. In my opinion, I feel like, yes, we are kind of a scapegoat because things get more escalated when it is quote unquote immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's a Mexican immigrant, we're going to talk about that subject because obviously that's what he mostly says is Mexican immigrants. Basically, things get more kind of done when a Mexican does something wrong, and if they feel like these were what Mexicans do or immigrants do. And in my opinion, I feel like when the term scapegoat, so scapegoat, the way I feel it is basically kind of like, hey, here you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is...
Like, you're the reason for
there's
all
the
this.
reason for this. This is the reason for that. When it is a spectrum. I mean, he does says immigrant on the quote. But after hearing what he said about us before, rapists, etc., all this other stuff, it is kind of... how do I say it? It's more likely saying it towards obviously towards Mexicans on how we feel about not paying taxes,
Yeah,
and not doing basically taking welfare or government assistant help. And obviously it's not just us Mexicans, it's other people. It's, I mean, crazy. Let's just say here in Albuquerque, yes, we are a Hispanic culture here in Albuquerque, but we do have a lot of native culture. And natives were the first ones here. We'll say that. But imagine all the stuff they do and what they receive, and obviously they were here first, and you can go on with this. But if you look at what the government provides for them, for say what is it called? Repercussions laws, or do you remember what's called?
I don't remember what's called.
Yeah, basically they get free healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so every native can put in a number, free healthcare no matter what. They don't pay for it. Well, who pays for that? I mean, obviously the natives.
Well, we kind of do, don't we? Because we pay when we pay taxes.
Yes,
it also
we do.
Goes to them.
We do pay taxes. We do this, but they do pay it themselves too as well. But imagine how many people use that free healthcare. Imagine what happens that they use that healthcare and it takes thousands. You know, let's just say one doctor visit is like $1,000.
Yeah. Hold up, I gotta open my windows real quick. Okay, one doctor's visit is
okay. You gotta see. Let's just say, you know, obviously I don't know the exact numbers because I am not a doctor and I don't work in that field. But let's say $1,000 just to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Talking about go in and you just have a flu. This is just a flu. You go in, see the doctor. For them to see you, take the time out of their time to do whatever it is. Check your valves, check your stomach, to actually go in the hospital, to check everything. Let's say it's $1,000. That's one person with the flu. Cool. Imagine if it's 500 people with the flu.
Yeah.
So you're looking at $500,000. I mean, that's $500,000.
Yeah.
In my book, that's $500,000 of taxpayers' dollars, basically, because 500 people, you know, 500 people wanted to get. I mean, obviously, I don't know the exact number, but that's just the flu. Okay, let's just say Imagine if they break an arm. How many people break an arm each year? Let's just say 10,000 people. 10,000 people break an arm. Well, okay, there's a cast. There's x-rays. Well, the x-rays we do pay for. Okay, imagine getting everything, and it's free. It is free. It is covered. So, imagine they get an x-ray, a cast, and it's, what, 10,000 people. So you're looking at $10,000, my bad. $10,000 for one person at 10,000 people, if that makes sense. I know it made tens. But you gotta look at it. That's almost 100,000.
Yeah.
100,000, and obviously it can go more than that. Imagine breaking a leg, an ankle, surgery, anything in general.
Yeah.
And this is what it is. Like, you can't really say just one group of people are a part of that. One group of people is the scapegoat. And the reason why this is happening is because the immigrant people. When it's just the multiple people. And I only talk about the natives because they are a majority group here in Albuquerque. But obviously we do have multiple cultures here. We have, Indians. Let's say, I wouldn't say Indians because natives, Indians. But I would say people from India. People from Asians. And Laos. Let's just say different types of cultures. I mean, obviously they do pay taxes. So that's what taxes are for. Taxes are to help the American people in everything. I mean, hey, you pay taxes? Well, here's your insurance. Hey, you got better roads. Well, this is where taxes go for. You want better housing. You want a house. There's more housing. Boom. Taxes pay for it. And we all pay for it. Yes, I'm not saying there's people out there that don't pay taxes. Mm-hmm. And yes, that's how it goes. Yeah. But just if you look at it, if you go past that Huffington Post, how many years did Donald Trump avoid taxes? I mean, how much money did he make by not paying taxes? And imagine, this is a business guy running a big office with a group of people that obviously he does have to pay healthcare, does have to do this. And what I don't understand is he's trying to make America great, but yet his stuff is from another country. And he's not employing local people.
Yeah.
He's not making a workshop over here in Utah and Wisconsin. Whatever it is, they have, you know what I mean? They have areas where you can do work, whatever. Mm-hmm. He's not providing for the country. And yes, obviously he did pay taxes. But I'm just saying, in that span of 5 years, 4 years, how much taxes did he really pay? Or how much taxes did he avoid?
Yeah.
And that's another subject. Obviously, that's totally off subject, but it goes towards
using you guys as a scapegoat.
Yes, almost. It goes towards immigrants using it as a scapegoat and us being the reason why the problem for this, or the reason why we have shitty healthcare, and the reason why we have shitty this and shitty that is because of the immigrant people.
Yeah. All right. Well, there are 3 points that they said on the Huff post that I want to get your input on. The first one was the denunciation of violence from anti-Trump protests, and it rests on the misguided views that divide Trump's expose and the typical political disagreement between persons, and should be handled as such. What do you think about that?
Like I said in the beginning, and I guess actually first of all I'll actually speak for myself. Mm-hmm. In myself, violence was the answer. And the reason for that is because it gets the point across. When it comes to anything in life, and yes, a lot of people will disagree and say violence is never the answer. You shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't be the way this is because of this. Whatever. Yes, a lot of people will disagree with that. In my opinion, in my lifestyle, and I've lived a rough lifestyle. So maybe that's one of the reasons why. Maybe it would be different from a person who has a silver spoon in their mouth, who gets everything towards them, or doesn't have to work for anything. Maybe they would feel a little bit differently as far as like, we shouldn't be violent. We should just write a letter. We should do this. Cool. Yes, I understand that. But the way I was brought up and the way I looked at things is violence was the answer because it did get the point across. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it got the point across. and what happened downtown and what we did as a people. And I'm going to say we and people because it's multiple people. It's not just the immigrant people.
Like, you weren't out there by yourself. Like,
no, I wasn't out there by myself. It was multiple people who came together. And I'm not just talking about Hispanic people. I'm not talking about just Latino people. I'm not just talking about Mexicans. I'm talking about there was natives there.
Just a group of people who share the same beliefs as
yes, and I would say a group of people with multiple backgrounds, with different cultures, with different races, different color skin. And I feel like that was needed. It got the point across. Yeah. It got to the.
It actually answers the third point that the HuffPost had. The point 3 was violent resistance matter and riots can lead to major changes. And it sounds like you personally believed in that that point that they made, right?
Yes, and I do believe in it, and I believe in it because imagine if it was in a different situation. Okay, just imagine. This is gonna go off subject, but it's gonna be towards what I'm trying to explain and what I'm trying to believe is. Okay, this is the reason why the riot happened was because of this. What he said to my people and what he said to the people, immigrants in general, that is the reason why it happened because we did not believe in it. Just imagine if somebody else went up there, let's say Susana Martinez. Susana Martinez is the governor of New Mexico, right? Susana Martinez goes up there, passes a bill saying, gays are not allowed to get married. And yes, this is off subject, and yes, this is not towards what I'm trying to explain, what Donald Trump and what he believes in, but it is going to go towards why I feel like the violence was okay, and why it was justified, and why we did what we did, and why we damaged property, and why we set things on fire, or whatever you want to look at it as. Basically, imagine Susana Martinez goes up and says gays are not allowed to get married. Well, a lot of people, we do have a big gay community. And I'm going to say that because the only reason why we do have gay pride, we do here in Albuquerque, we do celebrate gay pride, which you wouldn't really do that unless you have the people for it. Colorado has gay pride because they have the people for it. And I'm going to say the people because people believe in that. And not just gay people. It's not just what people look at it as. It's everybody in general. A lot of people believe that, they should be able to get married. And they're not even gay themselves. But imagine if she said that. How would everyone feel? What would everyone do? What would I would say, quote unquote, the gay community, and I don't want to say the gay community because it's a more broader spectrum than the gay people.
Well, they would probably protest just like what you guys
They would protest. Imagine if they didn't get anything done. Okay, they protest. They put up signs. They put up banners saying, we would not take this. Whatever. Imagine if that didn't happen. Well, what would happen if, that didn't get heard? So, would it lead to violence? There's no...
Yeah, we can't.
There's no evidence that can say, yes, it would lead to violence. But, if you look at it, I wouldn't even say 9. I would say 8 out of 10, it's going to lead to violence.
Gotcha.
The only reason why is because everyone in the world, and everyone... I could be speaking false. I could be saying lies when I say everyone in the world believes in this because not everyone believes in it. But majority of the people believe violence is the answer towards anything. Yeah. If they want to get their name out, if they want to get their point across, violence is the answer.
Gotcha there. And the last one thing I want to talk about was their second point, where politicians and liberals, pundits, seem to believe the principal goals for everyone resisting Trump is to halt his entry into the Oval Office. Is that mainly why you riot? Just to basically stop him from entering the White House?
Basically, okay, so I'm going to give 2 points. One point is...
Have some water, bro, if you need
and yeah, I know, I should get some water. One point is, the reason why I write it, personally, is because I felt like what he said about my people was wrong. I felt like...
So it wasn't necessarily to stop him from entering the office. It was to say that...
That was another point I was going to get to. Was basically, the other point is because you can't physically, with the Electoral College and with how the votes go and how everything runs as far as appointing a new president, really Albuquerque, or New Mexico, I would say New Mexico, really doesn't have... I mean, we do have a say. Obviously, we really do on not letting him go. But there's, what, 32 states?
32 states for what?
32 states here in the United States.
There's 50 states in the U.S.
50. Damn, see? So I need to go back to school.
Yeah, it's been a while since
50,
we graduated.
There's 50 states. And I'm not going to say one state with this many people is going to make a difference in allowing him or disallowing him to get into the Oval Office.
Like how California has 55 electoral votes and New Mexico only has like 5 or something like that.
Yes. So, in that point, obviously, I'm not trying to, like, hey, no. Obviously, yes, that's what I'm trying to get the point across. What I'm trying to get across is what he said and what he believes in was wrong. What he said about the immigrant people, or I would say Mexican people, because he said it towards Mexicans, was wrong. I feel like that's what I'm trying to get across. And he's going to get into Oval Office. He's going to get into Oval Office. There's nothing really that I can do personally or the state can do personally.
Yeah.
But we do have a say in when it comes into, hey, when it comes to Arizona, when it comes to Colorado, when it comes to anything like that where they see this is what happened because of what Trump said. Do you believe in what Trump said? You know, do you believe in his beliefs? Most people will say yes. A lot of people will say no. Really, in that spectrum, it's half and half. You really can't, you know what I mean? Obviously, Hillary won some states. Donald Trump won some states. You know, there's really nothing you can do in that situation. But I wanted to get my point across, and I wanted to get what I believed in across. So I wanted them to see how I see this, or how the Albuquerque people see this. Because, I mean, it did happen in New Mexico, which is, I mean, we do have small towns that probably came over to see him or whatever. But to see how we feel.
Gotcha. So it wasn't necessarily to like say, no, I want him in office. It's basically saying, hey, this is how I feel about him, and this is my reaction to what he said about me and my people.
Yes, basically.
Basically, all right. Well, I think that basically covers. Shouts to my good buddy. What was it? Oh, George Pacheco for doing this, and this is Trung Lu, and this is my presentation for English 220. See ya.